Hello, everybody. I'm Mike DelPrete, your host of AZREIA Show, the Launchpad Edition. Today, we're talking about house hacking. Are you not ready just to cannonball into real estate full time? Maybe you just want to dip your big toe in and just feel it out. Well, house hacking may be it. What is house hacking? All right. It's nothing new. It's been going on since housing's been available. All right. You're going to get a property to purchase a property. You're going to purchase a single family home with traditional financing, most likely, right? Or you can purchase a multifamily. So if you were to house hack a single family home, you would live in one room and rent out the other rooms. If you were going to do a multifamily, you would live in one unit and rent out the other units to tenants. Okay. Who can do this? Anyone could do this. It's just up to you and your living situation. What are you comfortable with? Do you like having roommates if it's a single family? All right. Do you want to live amongst your tenants if you're in a multifamily? It's totally up to you. And we're going to go over all different scenarios today when we talk about house hacking. For example, I just had a buddy, Alex. He's 25 years old. He was working 9 to 5. He has a career job. He just enjoys it. He just got out of college and he's using his degree, right? He knows real estate is an important part of his career and his life, but it's not all he wants to do. So his goal is to purchase maybe a house a year or something along those lines. So he didn't want to jump in. He was limited on time. So and experience and money. So because he was just new to the job. So he wanted a house hack. So he bought a single family home up in North Phoenix. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, nice little home. And he lived in one room and rented out the second and third bedroom for $600 each. So that covered his mortgage. So not to get into specifics, but he was I think it ended up being around $200 a month is coming out of his pocket to live in this house, and he owns it. That's better than going out and living in a 1-bedroom studio or for $600 in the neighborhood. So it's definitely an advantage. And there's a lot of benefits and why you should do that. For one, we could talk about taxes. All right. There's the government provides benefits to those who provide shelter, jobs, and energy. So you get to straight line depreciate your property. Okay. For 27 and a half years. You don't have to do anything to the property. You just get to write it off. Okay. So anything I talk about in regards to taxes, everyone's personal situation is different. So talk to your personal accountant, let them know what you're doing. When it comes to the common areas of the single family home, if you're providing appliances, forks, knives, couches, furniture, the other bedrooms that the tenants are using, that's all deductible. Okay. Your accountant will definitely be able to explain to you exactly how much you can do that. What's not deductible is the room and the areas that you use. Now, if it was a multifamily home, there's a lot of different things. You depreciate the whole building. In this way here, same thing. You could depreciate the mortgage interest on your mortgage payment. There's so many benefits. Another great advantage to why you should house hack is your building equity. Okay, so when you have a mortgage payment and every month that you make a payment, a portion of that payment goes to principal. Okay, so your loan balance is actually going down on every payment. Now, in this situation, your tenants, the guys or girls renting out the bedrooms or the other units in the multifamily, they're making that payment for you. So your balance is always getting lower. Now, I'm not going to go into appreciation because actually, when I first went to my first AZREIA meeting, I saw John Burley speak, and he said, equity is luck. And I totally get it now. As landlords, we don't count on appreciation to run our business. It's definitely accepted, and we'll take advantage of it if it's there. But we're looking for the steady cash flow. Okay, so those tenants pay down that mortgage for you every month. It's a great thing. The most valuable thing you're going to get here from house hacking is, I would say, is the experience of being a landlord. Now, think about all the things that you can do while you house hack. You're going to learn how to market the property, right? Take pictures, put it online. If you're self-managing, right? Tenant screening. You're going to speak to the tenants. You're going to run their credit, take applications. You're going to get to know them. You're going to get to understand the process. Or if you were to hire a property manager, which can be 7 to 10% of the gross rents, But you'll build a relationship with them. You'll be interviewing managers. You'll get to see how they operate and how they function as running a property. You'll also be able to review rental agreements, contracts. You're going to be negotiating. You're going to be researching rents in the area and seeing what rents are. So when you rent out your properties, you get the most amount that you can at that time. There's going to be unexpected problems. There's going to be arguments with tenants. There's going to be broken faucets. There's going to be leaks. You name it. There's going to be issues, and you're going to have to deal with those, and you're going to learn from that. Okay. Bookkeeping is even very important. You gotta watch your numbers. You got to know how much is coming in and how much is going out. All right, so that's just so, experience is the best teacher. That's so valuable just to be experiencing that with your tenants while you house hack. All right, so let's run the numbers. Let's paint a big picture of what it all looks like. First, I'm going to start with a single family home. All right, so we'll start with a single family residence. And the scenario we're going to use is $170,000 purchase price. And your mortgage is going to be at 4% interest. And your lender will be able to let you know exactly what you qualify and what your rate will be. Right now they're around 4%, and you can look that up on bankrate.com, or like I said, when you talk to your lender. Now, you can get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in this scenario. And when you do your research for your rents from your realtor or your online research, we're going to go with $1,100 rents for the area. There. Now, on this mortgage at 4%, you're going to have a down payment. So if you go FHA, it's going to be 3.5%. So which would be, for this scenario, $6,125. All right. So that's the down payment on your FHA loan for $170,000 purchase price. Now, I recommend talking to your loan officer and your realtor and say, where can I get down payment assistance? Okay, there's a lot of programs out there right now that can cover your down payment. I think it actually goes up to, let's see, we have for down payment assistance, they can get up to 5% of the purchase price, which is $8,500. Now that program will give you $8,500, and you'll apply that towards the down payment as well as the closing costs. So potentially you can get into a home for free or very little money. Now, on a 4% loan at $170,000, your principal interest payment is going to be $811. So that's PI. Then you have to add in the taxes and insurance, and that's what we call PITI. And we're going to use the $100 scenario. Taxes $50 a month, and insurance $50 a month. So that's going to bring you to $911. All right. So in addition to this, when you're living in a single family with renters, you're going to have expenses. So that can include water, utilities, gas, maintenance, repairs, landscaping. So there's all these things you can compile and add into the expense column. For this scenario, we're just going to use an average of $300. And that'll put us at a total of $1,211 a month coming out of your pocket to operate this house. Okay. So now you know what your mortgage payment is. Okay. So now you got to find out the rents, which I said was $1,100. How'd you get $1,100? We talked to the real estate agent. They did their rental comps. You drove around the neighborhood. You looked at the for rent signs and talked to other landlords in the neighborhood, and you went on other online resources. Okay. We came up with $1,100. Okay. So it's this, for this scenario, it's less than the $1,211. So what do? So after you check out the rental comps for the house, you also want to check for the rental comps for the bedrooms. Okay. So I would go on the same resources and I would see how much a 1-bedroom apartment is going for. What would this tenant be doing if they were living in the neighborhood? Where would they live, right? So in this scenario, in this neighborhood that I chose, it's $600 a month, okay, just for a 1-bedroom apartment. So now you got to weigh it out. So this person in a one bedroom apartment, they might get their own privacy, but they still have to cover all their utilities. Okay, whereas they can live with you, might be a little less privacy, share a bedroom, a bathroom, or something, but it's gonna be a bigger house, bigger scenario, more storage. So they'll weigh that out. So I would definitely rent this property out for $500 a month. Let's say you did rented each room for $500. So that's $1,000 that you'll get from your tenants, and that'll include utilities. So you'll get 1,000 from tenants. Now we have 1,211 for your gross expense minus the $1,000 from your tenants. So you're coming out of pocket $211 a month. So here you got your mortgage payment, PITI, and your expenses, total expense every month. You're getting minus $1,000 from your tenants. So now you got to come out of pocket $211 a month. Now that's better than renting out your own apartment by yourself for 600 plus utilities, right? The tenants get a great deal for $500 a month, and that 211. Now keep in mind it comes out of your pocket, but when you overall look at your tax scenario, you can depreciate the house, and you're also a homeowner, right? And you have all the other advantages that we spoke of earlier. So that's kind of just like a single family situation. So like I said in the beginning, make sure the rents cover your mortgage. So in this scenario, it would actually work out where, let's say you were moving on and you were going to keep it as a rental. You're no longer going to need this anymore because you're not living there. The tenants are going to cover all the expenses, except for you will be responsible as a landlord if things break, but the tenants ultimately will be covering the water, the gas, and so on. So your main part is 911 plus any responsibilities as a landlord. Okay, so you can rent this place out for $1,100. So you do have like a $200 buffer there for your cash flow to cover expenses, put into savings, and so on. All right, so now we're running the multifamily scenario. All right, what we're going to go with is a $240,000 purchase price. It's going to be a fourplex. We're going to get a loan at 4%, just like the single family. Remember, this is the same type of loan. You're going to still get the 3.5%. You're still going to go FHA because up to 4 units is still considered residential. Just the numbers will shift around a little bit. All right, so we have $240,000 at 4%. It's going to be a 30-year loan, fixed rate, and the rents in this neighborhood, like the last scenario for one bedrooms, this is going to be a fourplex, all one bedroom units, and they're going to be $600 each. Now, since it's a fourplex, you're going to live in one and you're going to rent out the other 3. So you're looking at a gross income of $1,800 a month for the multifamily. So, like I mentioned, on the 3.5% down payment assistance, first-time home buyer programs, make sure to get all those in place. So at $240,000 at 4%, that's going to give us a principal and interest payment of $954. Remember, principal, interest, PI. Then we need to add in our TI, taxes and insurance, which since it's a bigger project, bigger building, we're going to raise everything up. So for the TI, it'll be plus $175 a month, and that'll be included total into your mortgage payment. And that'll give us $1,129 is your total mortgage payment for the purchase of the fourplex. Now, rule of thumb is, as an expense ratio, same expenses. Usually as a multifamily, you have to cover all the water and the trash and sewer, landscaping, same scenario as a single family home. As a multifamily investor, we usually estimate 40% expense ratio. So usually 40%, some say 30, so you do what you're comfortable with, of the total gross income. So 30 to 40% of the 1,800 should be your expenses every month. And if you operate lower than that, fine, you just put it into reserves and you save the money, or it's profit. So for this scenario, we went with $540 of expenses. Getting a little crunch there. So that's a total. So mortgage payment, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and expenses, you'll be putting out $1,669 a month. Okay, so now remember, you're living for free in one unit, and you got a gross income of $1,800. So we got the $1,800 minus the $1,669. That will give us $131 profit. So when we in another episode, we're going to be discussing how to become a rental landlord, and we're going to go over cash flow and what you're comfortable with. So in this scenario, you're living for free and you're putting $131 in your pocket. Are you comfortable with that? Does that work for you? Okay, so that would be your scenario, living, house hacking inside this multifamily. Now, if you were to now move in, let's say you moved out, moved on, you want another project or whatever it may be. Now you're going to do 600 times 4. So that puts us at 2,400 minus the 1,169. So we have $2,400 gross income. You're moved out. You're getting $600 per unit minus your original $669 from your expenses. You can raise up, since you're not going to be in a unit. You could also maybe raise that up if you'd like, but just a general idea, you would 2,400 minus the 669, you'll be at $731 profit cash flow per month. So that's what you get from the multifamily. Does that work for you? Are you comfortable with that? I think it's great. So we just went over two scenarios for a single family home and a multifamily home. So you have a better idea what the big picture looks like. So now you get to make your choice which way you want to go. Now, how do you do this? What do you do first? What do you do second? So first and foremost, if you're using traditional financing, you'll most likely go through a bank, mortgage broker, loan officer, and they're going to pre-qualify you for a loan. Okay, some things that they look for: work history, credit, bank statements, your taxes for the last 2 years. So they're going to paint this picture and see if you're a qualified borrower. Okay, and no worries if whatever reason you're not qualified the first time around. That's why you want to link up with a good loan officer, because they're going to tell you exactly what you need to do to get qualified. And with your loan officer, you guys can create a plan to fix your credit. So the loan officer ultimately is going to get you prepared for success so you can qualify, because they want another loan, they want to get paid too, and they want to see you get your property, and you want that property. So you'll work on that if needed. If not, and you are qualified, everything looks good, they're going to give you a pre-approval letter. And this piece of paper says that you can purchase a property and they will lend you the money. Okay, that's when you're going to go to the next step. You're going to look for a house to purchase. With traditional financing, you usually use a realtor. They'll get you hooked up on MLS and they'll show you all the properties around town that are for sale. Now, and they'll be confident to go out and show you and work with you and take you serious because you have that pre-approval letter now. Now, you got to determine next step. So you have your lender, you have your real estate agent. So now you're going to think about, where do you want to live, right? So you want to live close to where you're currently living, by your job, by your school? Where do you want to be? Okay, I like to be, my rentals I like to have is, I provide safe, clean, affordable housing. So it's totally up to you. So once you decide where you want to be, the agent will tell you everything that's for sale in that neighborhood. In addition to the realtor, you could always look on your own. You can go to Craigslist. You can look for drive-through neighborhoods. Look for sale by owner signs. Zillow, Trulia, there's all these online resources that you can use to find a property and show it to your realtor, or call the owner yourself. So once you find the house that you want to make an offer on, and you're in your inspection period, one of the things you're going to want to do is look for the average rents in the area, okay? Because once you have the loan in place, you're going to know exactly what your mortgage payment is every month, okay? And you'll have a ballpark figure of what your expenses are. But what you really want to do in this part is to see what the average rents are. So in the future, whatever may happen. You may move out a year down the road, a couple years down the road. You just want to get a good idea that if you needed to move out, that the average rents in the neighborhood can cover your mortgage, okay? And you could potentially cash flow and make some profit. So your agent can help you with the comps of the rentals in your area. So let's talk about exit strategies. Let's say a couple years pass, things change. Maybe you're getting married. Who knows? You just want to move on from this property. Okay. The first thing that you can do is just simply move out and rent it out. Okay. So you would put a renter out into the property. You no longer have to worry about the expenses, and the renter will cover your mortgage. And like I said earlier, you're going to want to make sure you're in a neighborhood where your rents can cover your mortgage payment. Another thing you can do, let's say you want to sell the property. You're just done with it and you want to move on. You can sell it, okay? Now, if you sell it within 2 years, it's going to be a capital gain and you're going to be taxed on that profit. So talk to your tax accountant if you're going to do that. Or maybe your strategy was to sell it 2 years down the road. So if you wait 2 years, maybe you fix up the property, whatever it may be, after 2 years, you avoid capital gains and you could not get taxed on that profit if there is any. And also keep in mind, while that 2 years is going on, you are still paying down your mortgage. Now, what I would recommend is rolling it over. So if you did want to sell the property, you can roll it into a 1031 exchange. This will help you defer the taxes. Okay, that's another thing to talk to your accountant about. I remember when I was doing some marketing to buy a new property, and a seller called me, an old man, 75 years old, and he gave me a couple addresses to analyze, a couple properties, and I said, I always ask, why are you selling? He's like, I've never sold anything. I was like, well, you called me to ask me if I wanted to buy your house, and he was like, well, that doesn't mean I'm selling it. He's like, I bought and sold over 75 houses, whatever it was, some large number, and but he never technically sold. So I didn't get it. So what he was talking about is the 1031 exchange. So he can sell the property, take the profits, pay off the mortgage, the profits go into the 1031 exchange, and then you have a certain amount of time to identify a new property. So this way here, you could take the profits, use it as a down payment, or invest it into the next property. Maybe you're going to move up into larger properties. So there's so many ways you can do this. Another thing here is we talked about renting it. We talked about the 1031 exchange, avoiding capital gains. That's pretty much it. I mean, there's a lot of options here, and you have plenty of time to think about it and learn. All right, so we just finished discussing house hacking. You got a lot of information. I drilled right through it, so you probably have a really good idea of the general idea of how it works. So you're probably watching this on Facebook or YouTube, so I'm just asking, I would like you to like the page, share it. We want your comments, we want your feedback. So as an AZREIA member, you have tons of resources to access to. You get plenty of discounts, you can get free consultations. Go to AZREIA.org, check out all our supporters. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching our episode of House Hacking. See you next time.